Just count to 5. Okay, we're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on tools to take your language class online. Bienvenidos a todos. El día de hoy vamos a tener un webinar sobre herramientas para las clases de idiomas online. Por lo tanto, este webinar será el día de hoy completamente en inglés. ¿Sale? So, once again, welcome everyone. We hope you enjoy this session. Today we have two guest speakers joining us. They are Katrina Wyant and Laura Davis, and we are thrilled to have them on board with us. I'll talk to you a bit about each one of them. Katrina has dedicated the last 15 years to working in education as a teacher, coordinator, and director of academics. She's the author of the English program Best Academy and was recently elected chapter president of Mixtizo, Jalisco and Occidente, as well as a Google certified educator and innovator. Laura Davis, on the other hand, is a passionate teacher who has been in international education for over 13 years. She teaches English language and literature and integrates technology into her classroom to connect with students and impact learning. She is also a Google certified educator and innovator. And once again, we're thrilled to welcome them. We are absolutely sure that all of you language teachers out there will enjoy this session. Thank you very much, Kat and Laura, for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we're really happy to be here. Thank you for allowing us to share some ideas. I know that this is a very strange time for everyone, and we've all kind of been forced to get online really fast, ready or not. And but it's also been a really wonderful time of sharing resources. So we feel for all the teachers out there who are trying to take their classes online and keep their students going. And hopefully the tools today will be helpful for you guys. So thanks for welcoming us, and we're happy to share.
Yes, thank you for having us today. It is a pleasure to be here and share a couple of tips and helpful uses we've seen in a couple of apps or add-ons, extensions, etc., that can help us give class online along with EF.
So just to give you a heads up, we're covering 3 main tools today. We're going to cover Screencastify, we're going to cover Flipgrid, and we're going to cover Google Forms, because we thought that these 3 offered a really kind of easy to grasp but essential array of things that would help take your class online and be really effective in this time where we're adjusting to new teaching strategies and contexts. So Flipgrid is fantastic for connecting to students and to hearing their voices. Screencastify is excellent for providing information for them. And Google Forms is a fabulous tool for assessing knowledge in a very quick and efficient way. So we thought that these 3 tools were really useful and can help provide you guys with some basics to start bringing your classes online easily and effectively. So starting with Screencastify, just as a quick kind of overview there, this is a really simple, easy to use screen recorder. So this is going to allow you guys to record, I would say mainly what I'm recording tutorials and lessons for students. This is especially useful right now when we have situations where our internet may come and go, and we want to provide information for our students in something that they can kind of take and play at any moment. So if you had a great Google Slides presentation on a grammar topic that you used to use in the classroom, now what you can do is just run through that same Google Slides, but record yourself on Screencastify and upload that easily to students to Google Classroom, send them a link. There are many ways for them to access the videos. So this is a generally really useful tool. So I'll just show you quickly how it looks on your screen. So it's in a Chrome extension. So this is an extension for my browser, and I find it very, very user friendly. Most of the time, I only have my microphone enabled, but you could also enable your webcam and have your face shown for students if you prefer to do it that way. But most of the time, I would say that I just enable my microphone. And it's really just as simple as clicking the record button, choosing the screen that you want to share. And it gives you a nice countdown. And then you're online. You're recording your video for your students. You can draw on the screen and highlight things as well. And you can create a really easy tutorial that is great to share with students on any topic you've got. So if you've got a plethora of resources that you would use in the classroom, you've got PowerPoint presentations and slides, and you say, well, now what do I do with that? I would say turn it into a screencast. You can capture that information and share it with students later on. When it's done, as you can see, it pops over like this. I'm allowed to save it. You can edit the video. It has limited editing capabilities, but you can edit it a little bit. You can copy a link and share just a Google Drive link, because all of these videos are shared automatically in your Google Drive. You really don't have to worry about losing it, which is fabulous. So you don't have to worry that you recorded everything and hit something wrong and then there it goes. You could publish it to YouTube and have that link there to share with students if you have a YouTube channel that you have resources there, or you can also share it in Google Classroom. So I find it really, really easy, and this is a great tool for sharing tutorials and mini lessons with students. I generally wouldn't recommend going past 5 to 7 minutes because students have a different attention span when they're sitting there in front of the screen than in the classroom. So I would say, keep the tutorials short and sweet and break them down to different topics. But this is a great way to take your existing material and now make it accessible for all of your students. And if you have a library of this, then you're done. You can share this year after year, class after class. And so it really becomes something super efficient for you over time. So I'm going to let Kat kind of continue with some more specific EFL and younger learners applications for Screencastify.
Yeah, so I have a couple of different examples that can be used. I'm going to leave this one for all ages, but on this slide that we show with some EFL uses and tips. You can do different things with this, such as Laura was saying, you can record instructions while demonstrating an activity. So even sometimes as you get online, it's a challenge to go from classes in person to the online classes. And if you were just thrown into this like thousands and thousands of teachers were, you sometimes have to be super careful about how you give instructions or how they're interpreted later by your students, especially if they are EFL students and you're giving them in another language. So recording your instructions while you demonstrate an activity can sometimes be really helpful. I have this little example using Google Earth. Hopefully it'll play here for you. Hello, today you have an assignment on Google Earth. I am at google.com/earth/. When you get here, you need to click on the button, Launch Earth. So I'm going to push pause on this because this is the one I'm playing right now, but this was a Screencastify I recorded earlier. And as you can see, I'm speaking slow for my students. I'm not translating for them. but I am very, very clear on where I'm going, what I'm clicking on, so that I'm showing them exactly what I want them to do. If I go too fast, I know I will lose some students, depending on your age and your level of English. And then this one, if you play it further, continues to explain.
Open page. It takes a moment to set up.
And as I did this, I also was able to pause myself while I waited for the next screen to load. And then I was able to go back and hit unpause and continue recording. So it jumps for a second, but I didn't have to put my students through that. These are pretty long instructions here. They're like 2 minutes, 15 seconds or so. So if I jump ahead a tiny bit, you can see I'm still explaining exactly what I want them to do.
This first one that comes up, that is called Cherry Blossoms, is the voyage we want to go on. Make it click right in the middle.
So I'm giving very clear instructions and demonstrating at the same time what pages I want them to use. And at the very end, I explain verbally my activity. So this leads to some other EFL helpful experiences of listening to the teacher, not necessarily receiving all the written instructions in English. And that can also help them with their experience in English. So at the very, very end, which I know it's not charged all the way here, I'm explaining exactly what I want them to do.
Destination that focuses on the cherry blossoms. All 10 locations, and give a 1-minute video review of what you saw, describing the cherry trees and the places that you went to in the world.
So here I used a different Google tool, which is Google Earth, just because it's so visual, it's beautiful, and it has different options, which we're not getting into today. But what I wanted my students to do was watch my instructional video and demonstration, which I was able to record my screen and my voice at the same time. And then their product of what they were going to give back to me was going to be record a 1-minute video back to me, and I would see what they learned as they told me individually. So on this screen, we have other ideas as well. We can have students record how or what they did in a demonstration. This can be oftentimes better than resorting to only written ways. This gives us a way to see a student live. We could see them actually doing something rather than end up not knowing whether they pasted and copied and cheated on something. So sometimes it gives us a little bit more authenticity. Also, you can do other fun activities such as lip syncs and read-alongs. You can do a lot of listening comprehension as you screen share images or narration. You can focus on certain vocabulary things such as marking and recording. As you saw with Laura's demonstration, you have tools at the bottom of your screen that allow you to mark in the recording certain areas on your screen. And the student can do that too. So that is really, really helpful. Also, I want to share this part about scaffolding responses. As we always have different levels in the classroom, it is often really, really nice to be able to, it can also be a challenge, but nice to be able to scaffold our lessons, provide different activities or different extensions of activities to students who can actually do them or experience them a little more than others in the classroom, so that everyone is benefiting at their level. So you can think of lots of creative ways to use this as well. It has these nice tools over here, so I just screenshotted this for you. As soon as you stop recording, it will automatically pull this up and start saving your recording right in Google Drive for you. So the sharing settings are super easy. Right from here, you can share to Google Classroom the same video, edit the name, edit the video. On the free version, which is super amazing, it has a lot of, I would call them maximum tools for a free version, but you're only allowed up to 5 minutes. But it's still more than enough to work with right now. And the integration here with the classroom or publishing straight to YouTube saves us a lot of time rather than going back and forth. You can also download your videos. if you need them, or get the code to embed it if you're more advanced there. But it's a great tool that has been very, very user-friendly. You can easily edit your video, crop your video. You can change it when you're done, or you can re-record one if you need to really quickly. And that has been a really, really helpful tool, I think, for everyone who has to automatically go online right now. So I hope these tips help you with Screencastify and give you some ideas for your students and yourself as you give class online. And Laura, I don't know if we want to move on to another tip on another tool.
Yeah, we can go ahead and move on to Flipgrid. And I have to say this is one of my favorites. Generally in the classroom, I love using this tool. Excuse me. But right now, it's been amazing for me because I think what we all miss is connecting to our students. We miss seeing our students. We love seeing them every day, and especially when you're teaching language, you have to be able to hear them. You have to give them opportunities to practice using language and speaking with others. And while Google Meet and Hangouts is a fabulous opportunity to have a live class, we don't all right now, unfortunately, have the situation where the same thing. So this allows us to do something similar where we can see our students, where we can hear our students, where we can interact with them via video in a really safe, contained way. So this is my favorite tool right now for connecting with my students. I swear that when I first had them upload their video, it was even emotional for me to just see their faces again. And also just to practice language and to practice speaking. So this is a really cool tool to use. So I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like. So this is just a sample of a Flipgrid. What they call them grids. So you set up a grid basically for each classroom that you have. And inside those grids, you have different topics. And you can open them up for reflections, for responses, certain language prompts, anything that you want. You can record your instructions in a really clear, quick, easy way. I'll show you a sample.
Okay, so this is your chance to try Flipgrid and to share some ideas. So I want you to think about something that you would be useful for you to do with your students. How do you see yourself using audio technology and tools?
So I'm going to cut that short. But you can have a quick video prompt. The students love that when you are prompted to upload your video, you have to take a quick selfie and you can put a bunch of stickers all over it, and that's probably their favorite part of the process. And then when you look at the responses, it looks something like this. So you're going to see the video responses from the students like this. And there you can actually go ahead and send them a quick comment or feedback. You can give them a grade. It's already set up as a basic rubric for ideas versus performance. You can give them an assessment or a grade on it, or just give them a quick feedback, and you can immediately email the feedback directly to the student. When you're looking at the responses, you can just flip through with your arrow like this and see the different responses from your students. Or in this case, these were all teachers. And you can leave them other little fun forms of feedback. You can create a mixtape, which is kind of a highlight of responses that are really great. And what I also like about it is that it's pretty secure. So it keeps all of these responses limited to your domain, your school's domain. So if I'm going to set up a grid, let's say I want my class, it's super fast. So I'm going to go to, here I have a bunch of grids because I've done a lot of samples in some different classes of mine. So I'm going to click add a new grid. I'm going to call this test grid. and I'm going to join via school email address. You can personalize or customize the name of your grid to make it easier for them to access, or you can just leave it automatically as it is. I want to just have students from my school domain access this, and this keeps it secure. And it's ready to go. So I'm going to go right to my grid, and this is what it looks like. So it automatically sets up like a sample topic for me. But I want to go ahead and get started with a topic for my students. So I'm going to click Add New Topic. And I'm going to say, what am I going to say? Introducing myself, okay? I can type out the instructions here, and as we all know, when we're working with students who are acquiring language, having the instructions in different formats is really helpful. So here you can have your typed out instructions, but you can also put, again, your video instructions. You can upload an image or any other prompt for the video. The recording time is great, so you can actually limit how long you want the student response to be. So this makes it nice if you need them to be a little bit more concise for your grading. So I'm going to leave it at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I'm going to say, tell me your favorite foods and sports. Okay. And I can also go ahead and record a video, and I can record a video prompt, and I can say, hi everyone. So I can record and say, hi everyone, I would like for you to record a quick video where you tell me about your favorite foods and your favorite sports. Hi everyone, I would like for you to record a quick video where you tell me. Okay. I can add stickers and fun things to that. And then it's going to prompt me to add a selfie, and it's going to set up my grid topic. Okay. And it's really easy to use. This is something that I've used often. And there's no big wait time of uploading videos. It's fast, it's easy. When the students record, they see this giant green plus sign. So there's really like no getting lost in where I upload my video. They hit the plus sign and they start recording from there. They can even record video responses to each other. So it's really been kind of a pretty fabulous resource. I like it a lot. So I'll flip it over to Kat now with other tips about Flipgrid.
Sure. So I'm going to make this a bit bigger, but this we broke down in a little bit smaller steps just to have the idea of what to do when you get started. And you need to create the grid first, like Laura was showing. Then you create a topic within your grid, and we'll show you that. And when you create the topic, you want to design your activity. So in what you would like the students to do, because that can be very easy when you know exactly what content and what you're producing. And so once you know what you like your students to practice, it is really important to make them concise and pointed for language reproduction. So if we talk about a little bit more about what EFL is in these tools, we would want to make sure that here we practice giving them short and precise instructions, again, like she mentioned, and sometimes limit their response so they do the same. But getting started with these 3 steps, like she showed, is not that hard. You can kind of mess with it and see all of the options you have in these menus. And so I also have a couple of ideas for younger students as well. It can often be easier to think of reading, writing, speaking, listening things for older. But for younger, sometimes I know as teachers, we're not used to being online, or we don't know how to transition our activities online. And this is a wonderful tool. Like she said, they don't have to all be online at the same time. It's not having a live class, but it is leaving each other the voice messages and the video recordings to see each other and still have that face. And I think that's really important. So this is one that was also like a test we created, and we put some young learners activities up here too, and we'll look through them for a second. But really, in order to post, so I'm going to go break this down a little bit further. Once you have your posted activity that you put up and it's ready for sharing, you can also record an example video yourself so the students see it. So I'm going to show you, I think I had one available, and it probably comes in the next slide. It does. So after, I'll get to that. After you are ready to share it, you have ways to share it. So you can also share your activity with a QR code, which it'll automatically generate from you. If some of your students don't really have a computer they can sit down at, for example, but their parents do have a smartphone, maybe this would be a good option that they can scan right in their smartphone. And it takes them right there. And then also we've circled down at the bottom here the Google Classroom. And that allows you to directly create and assign to a Google Classroom. If you have your Google Classroom set up already, you can work in Flipgrid. And after you make your activity, you are able to share that activity directly from the Flipgrid onto the classroom wall, which is really, really nice. So some language area ideas for this, I just wrote a couple of down. Of course, there's a lot more we can do, but we can look at the 4 areas that could help us organize some activities for these types of videos. Like in reading, you could still do read alouds and popcorn reading, where you assign only certain lines of a reading to a certain student. And then they all have to record their different lines. And when you go to play all those videos, you could play them in order to see the whole story or the whole article come together. And the students could look at those too. So there are lots of different ideas for these 4 areas. You can do also a puppet reading story for smaller children with the stuffed animal. And sometimes there are a few kids who we do want to be inclusive with, and they really get shy in front of the camera. So this is a nice idea, especially in another language, especially in English. If they're just starting out or you have basic students in English, a puppet reading or a stuffed animal could really, really help. You could have them do it with their favorite stuffed animal. You could have them be reading and just put up the stuffed animal to the screen. So you can mix and mess around with different ideas to get kids to produce the language there. You can also use little sticky notes to prop up behind, or do story endings in groups or pairs that have been organized, and then have them both go on and share separate endings or together endings, explain their own mind maps or clouds that they're writing out. And then in listening and speaking, this is where these videos can really, really help us and help our students get experience with the language. In listening to each other and even correcting or just commenting on each other's videos can be really, really constructive as long as we maintain that environment. But it can be really great. They can start speaking or talking to each other, communicating with each other, and at a moment that is convenient for them to sit down at the computer or with a smartphone and do it. You can look for vocabulary and context deduction with student responses in listening comprehension. You can look for students to listen for reviews and opinions and other comments from other participants with really pointed instructions or targeted comprehension of what they're supposed to be looking for. And then they can respond to that as well. And with speaking, there's an infinity of activities, but besides giving the presentations or things like that, you can really specify reproduction or look for fluency and look for the balance of the use between academic and social language in English. I think that is really, really important. Yes, we learn all of these academic terms and concepts, and it is a school context, but we also want that social interaction. And this tool in Flipgrid really provides a space to do so. So we can take advantage of that. So this one I'm going to link out of as well, but I made a couple of activities for also younger children so that you could see. We took a vocabulary group. So we are using farm animals here as an example activity, and we put it on Flipgrid here. And so we made our instructions really simple and short, and we're gonna head over there. And when you click on the links to Flipgrid, oftentimes it asks you to log in again. So we're gonna log in, and we will choose this account, which is also an educator account, but it gives me this screen on the test group, and it went directly to the activity. That was a link to the activity. You can see up here is the link as well. And we also have a space over here where a menu to see all of our topics, if we're looking at all of our topics. So I included a really easy visual here to introduce my farm animals. I gave these instructions, and I want to show you this button down here, which is blue, which is called the immersive reader. Because for English, I think it's great, a really great tool. And you'll see it pop up here, just the text. And if you hit the play button,
choose a secret farm animal. Record a video describing your animal.
You'll see that it actually speaks to you. It reads the words and the instructions for you. So for little children, sometimes this is really great because mom and dad often don't know enough English or are going to mispronounce these instructions for their kid. So if you're working with small children, this is an amazing, amazing tool. You have an adjustment button here down at the bottom. Let me hide this. Adjustment button, which talks about the voice speed, and you can change the speed. I thought that was a pretty good speed. And you can decide if you'd like a male or female voice there as well. But that is a really great tool, and you just hit the back button in case they need to listen to the instructions, right? I also included here a helpful YouTube video. So if the student makes a click on it, it goes right to the YouTube video. We're going to pause it here as it starts going. That talks about our names and sounds of farm animals. And then these instructions are highlighting what I want them to do. And as you can see here, the student can respond really easily. And I had people responding here. And so if I make a click on the video, I'm able to see it.
I am big. I am normally brown in color. I like to eat grass. I sleep in the barn with hay.
Okay, we're gonna pause that. But you can also see here, somebody was responding to that video.
Are you a goat?
Are you a goat? So the instruction was to guess what animal they were. They had to describe it. But other students that are logged on here, I know they're different ages, this is just an example, are able to comment on that. And this was my demo video. So me as the teacher.
I am fluffy, white, and have 4 legs. I like to eat grass. And I can run.
So then I had another student, there's Isabella, and
it's a bunny.
It's a bunny. So we have really good language reproduction at a very low level, a very introductory level, or with younger children, even younger than us on there. And I wanted to show that example for you. There's also another example as we go. And then also from that, as we mentioned before, I was able to click the button, and this was what came up on my screen as I, well, that's the Google Classroom view. But this gave me a direct link when I wanted to share it directly to my Google Classroom from the Flipgrid page. So that was really helpful. This allows, as you can see, and I'm going to focus just a second on the EFL aspect of the objective. We're not just here saying hi and whatever we want. Of course, we can put all those stickers on, which is so fun. Like Laura said, the students love that part where they get to adjust their video, take a selfie. That social interaction has been so great, and it really, we can use that to our advantage. So the student engagement with the tools and making it fun really is a draw here. And then we balance the academic and social language speaking with each other in the left videos that we have. We maintain that environment, but we still are looking at our topic, which is talking about animals, in this case, farm animals. And we're looking at the young students practicing constructions they already know. So in the instructions, when I had them here before, I really specified, we'll open this Flipgrid again. Oh, here it is. I really specified what I wanted them to use. And then if I clicked this button, they could hear it, or their parents can too. I am, I can, I like, or I eat, or I like to eat. So these were simple instructions there, and constructions that they were able to use. So another activity with even younger children went even simpler. I gave one visual here. I gave it one instruction here. I linked it to my different Google Classroom that I had open for them. And then this, with this easy to use green button, they can do the same thing. But this was even just with color recognition. So we're gonna go over to this Flipgrid activity, and you can see, so this can still be, the grid is my actual class. And I can post these different topics and activities with these topics up here. So I posted a scavenger hunt. So those of you who really need, like, oh, I have a kindergarten class, I have to be online right now, this is something that they could do. They can start doing it, and you could post a video. Like if I post one right here myself, I can record. Hi, hello everybody. I can record by hitting this button an example for them, and I don't have anything around me that's yellow, but I have something that's green. So I can do that the same. And it'll give me a countdown. This is a green speaker. So really that's all I'm looking for in them. I can use these fancy buttons to put stickers and emojis if I want to. And then I go to the next one, and it'll, this is a green, like we already demonstrated, and we'll take a selfie. I'm going out of the picture in order to post. And it's something extremely simple for 5 seconds, but I can give my kids an example if they're really, really young. Again, I am, does this if once you post it. You can also download from here the selfie or the video, or the parents could as well. But it's something I always presented a easy visual, easy instruction in English. And this list over here, the sentence structure, the ability to listen to those instructions read to you is such a great button. And then giving the example to your students can still be done at a really, really young level. So you don't have to take all that and make it complicated. It can be super simple, and you can work with younger children with this. You can also download videos directly to Google Drive. So this was another one that that she was doing it with the yellow. So this is a younger kid. If it will play for us. We might not have the bandwidth for this, so we'll pause it, but you can see what's happening here quite clearly. So those are some ideas for younger children to do. And you're covering your topics. You're making them practice with speaking and listening directly, no matter what. You're not making it too long or extensive for preparation either for the student or the teacher. And it really is easy to use once you start doing it, right? So the teacher can also, like Laura talked about, from the teacher view. So this, when she showed it from her teacher view, you can see all the videos that are going up on that one activity. And if you click on them, you can give feedback right here like she did in that window. You can give it a grade, you can comment, you can video back, you can email the feedback, you can move your videos to somewhere else if you'd like. You can make it public, you can invite guests, which is sometimes really, really cool for EFL classrooms to have guests in English from native speakers. And right now you can take advantage of all the contacts, native speakers around the world to join in leaving videos for your kids as well, for your students. That might be an awesome thing to do. Flipgrid also has a lot of other options. So in a second, we're going to switch to Google Forms with Laura. But the other option that Flipgrid has, let me see if I can show you on the menu up here, is, well, I'd have to be in the teacher mode, I suppose. But it has a menu and a part, I won't go into that just for time as well, where you get to connect with classrooms around the world if they're public. And you're able to connect students with other students in messaging videos and teachers in classrooms. And that's really, really cool. So I think there's so much to do here, and it's super user-friendly that you can get started right away. You don't have to log in to wait for hours or get a specific email back. You can sign up right away. And I think it's a great tool to use with EFL. Laura, I will leave it back with you to look at our next topic.
Perfect. So I love all the tips that you gave for Flipgrid. And there are a lot of things there that I hadn't even thought about approaching with younger students, but I think it's fabulous. Another very random tip for those of you who have lots of students is that you can also pick up the speed on the playback of the videos that you're watching from students. So if you've got 100 students and they've uploaded a 3 or 5 minute video and you need to save time, you can also listen to them a little bit faster if you need to.
Oh, that's great.
It can come in handy.
Yes.
Yeah. So moving on to Google Forms. So we've talked about a way that we can really connect with students through Flipgrid and do so many useful language activities there. We've talked about a way to get our information to students, that information that we would be giving in front of them in the classroom, and we can't right now. And now Google Forms is really focused on assessing student knowledge in real time, in an efficient way. And it's a really powerful tool for any subject, in particular for our subject looking at language. So this allows us to basically check for understanding. You can also use it for surveys and questionnaires, but we're going to focus more on using it as an assessment tool and creating quizzes with it, because I think that's the most useful right now. So we can check our student understanding before and after a lesson. If we need to know where they're at on a vocabulary lesson, we can do that with this. It also allows us to provide immediate feedback to the students. They know right away whether they're right or wrong without waiting for us to check and grade and return work. And it also allows you to differentiate your lessons. So you can actually do a lesson through Google Forms and differentiate to provide students with different resources. So this allows us to assess student knowledge when we're not in front of them, seeing their face that they're confused with something or doing a thumbs up, thumbs down. We can't do that right now. So this allows us to assess their knowledge and also to provide resources for students who either need more review with the topic or more enrichment with the topic. So I won't be able to go through all of the details of forms, but I'll try to give you a quick overview because there are a lot of intricacies with it. And I'm going to use just kind of a quick sample exercise that I did. I had a quiz looking at basic literary terms, literary devices with my students. And my favorite part about forms is not just that it does automated grading, which is fabulous, but my favorite part is the feedback. So not only can I create a question to check for student understanding, I can select which answer is correct and it will automatically grade it for me, but I can also provide specific feedback for all the answers that are incorrect. So I have got that there when I don't have necessarily the ability to review this with my students. Through this, I can give them feedback that I can't give when I'm not there in person. The other thing that you can do with that feedback option, which again is my favorite part of this, you could send them to another resource. So if they're clearly not understanding a resource related to mood or tone or imagery, you can, in your feedback, I could put add answer feedback, and I could either put give them a high five as a feedback for their correct answers, or I can go over to incorrect. I could even embed a video that is now going to link to a tutorial or a lesson related to the topic that they didn't understand in that question. So maybe it was a question on pronouns, and I found a great Khan Academy video that I like. I can link that Khan Academy video here, and when they get the question wrong, it's going to send them that feedback, and they can go reinforce that knowledge. Or if you want to do more enrichment for the correct answers, you can send them to a video or a link or an article to something that's going to push them to something else. So that's my favorite part of it. Okay, it's kind of an overview. We can set up these quizzes that can self-grade and that can provide feedback automatically. So how do I do this? Basics, basics, basics. I'm going to go over to my drive. I'm going to click New, and I'm going to click Form. Okay, and when you click here, that should automatically change the title here. You can put a description of your form. And now it's going to give me an option for my questions. What's kind of fun and interesting is that when I start typing my question, you're going to see that this changes over here. It's going to try to match my the type of question that I might want with how I'm typing. So I could say, explain, and notice that it changed here to paragraph. So it's automatically detecting that I'm going to want kind of a long answer response, which is cool. It might not always get it right though. So what are the different options of question types that I have here? Lots of them. So I have multiple choice, where I can just set up a typical multiple choice option and select which one is correct. Those can be text or they can be images. You can insert an image as part of your responses. I've got a checkbox answer, which I think is generally speaking better for surveys, in my opinion, than for quizzes. I can do a paragraph response. I can do just a short answer response. And it gives me the ability to insert different type of media into my questions too. So I can insert a YouTube video and have them answer questions related to that YouTube video. I can insert an image and have them respond questions using that image, etc. So, and then I just hit the plus to keep adding more questions. If I can just add all the questions, and then here when I kind of hover and I see those 6 dots, that's going to allow me to modify the order pretty easily. Okay. And I can check whether this is a mandatory question or optional. If it's a quiz, I'm going to assume that most of them will be mandatory. I can copy my questions as well. I won't talk about adding sections right now, but this is also kind of a cool thing that if we had more time, we could get into. By adding new sections, based on their response here, it can send them to a new section of the form. So that's really cool for like a choose your own adventure type activity, or it could be based on their answers if you're differentiating your lesson. So if they select one answer, that's going to send them to one lesson. If they select a different answer, it's going to send them to a different lesson. Or maybe they're going to skip a lesson because they don't need reinforcement. So those sections allow you to really personalize things more. But I would say that's a little bit more of an advanced feature that you should explore if you feel comfortable. So when I'm going over here to my answers here, I can determine where I want my answers to be. They can be set up to arrive in a Google Sheet, or I can see my answers right there. So if I go back to this quiz that I already did, I can see the responses from my students. I don't want to put student emails there, so I'm going to kind of skip that. But if I go to my response in Sheets, and I'm not going to go to that again because it has student emails that I don't want to show on the screen, but I can see the responses in a Google Sheet as well. It's nice to be able to also see overall which questions my students are struggling with, not only on an individual basis, but as a class. So this really provides a lot of knowledge for my students to work with. And it's a lot of knowledge, I'm sorry, not for my students. For me, as the teacher, I get a lot of information from setting these up. Okay. And I'll move to Kat to kind of talk about other specifics with this one. Sorry.
Yeah, that was super helpful. It is so helpful to have the automated responses as a teacher for anything. So this is also, there's settings in there, and it takes such a long time to also explain. We don't have time to explain every setting available, but it is such a great tool. Use it almost every day. And you can change things here in the settings to make it into a quiz and how you're going to release their grades and all of that. And so we have some ideas for the EFL area, and we'll try to wrap this up really quickly because I know we're going to run out of time soon. But you can definitely do the vocabulary pre-test, post-test, those types of things, and create all the automatically graded things. Like everything that Laura just went through does take some time to fiddle with it if you're new at it, but it's definitely worth it. So lots of EFL ideas. And also for young learners, so I wanted to show you something with young learners that we can do with this. Also keeping parents in mind, just so that we know where to click on things, and always have parent involvement in kids being online in general with cybersecurity. Always recommendable. But if we're gonna make something for young learners, which could be really, really young, but still useful, I wanted to show you an example really quickly. So I'm going to show you what my view is. As a teacher, I created a short little quiz or just activity. It doesn't have to be a graded quiz either. It can just be a way to gauge activity from the student. And I made it a little bit more interactive and simple for small children. So this, I believe, is going to give us a view. I'm going to go to the preview. One moment here. I'll open it again, where it'll show you for young learners. I don't know, this could be first grade. I put a first grade title on it, but you could use this for a third grade depending on your language level. So I first started out with a reminder video of that we're reviewing healthy and junk foods. This comes directly from YouTube. And then I did separate it into sections because I felt that so much on the screen for a young learner would be visually a little confusing sometimes. So this really limits their vision, one thing at a time or two things at a time, depending on how old they are. So they can watch this video. I know it's a good video. I know that for young kids, there's no problem. And they can click on that and start watching it right away, or they can send it out to YouTube. And also, in the next section, so that was just their reference, I have a couple of example questions. Of course, this is only a couple, so you can get the idea. With simple instructions, answer the questions. So what kind of foods are these? And then I'm using images here for the little kids. I'm keeping it very, very visual because you can embed the questions into them. So this is my screen that I can modify. So if I make a click over this, like Laura was describing how to create these questions for a quiz, I can do the same thing for this type of activity. And right here, I have the option to put the image. So on this bar over here, I can either attach a video or I can attach an image as well as a section to be answered. So, and then they can all go into the same thing. So if I go to my kids view, they're just viewing this much at a time because I divided it into sections. So they can answer, these are vegetables, which foods are considered healthy, and I'm using the images. You can make a click on the image or on the box. They both work. And I just had a place, because this was interesting for any age, just like Flipgrid, each student was posting their own video. You can also upload a video or an image. It is a little bit more complicated for the student because you have to have your image in your drive or on your computer. So if they're really, really little, they do need mom or dad. But if they're old enough with supervision that they can look for them on their computer or on a secure site. And you can also see ones you previously selected here. So if I wanted to select strawberry, I can upload it and it comes right up here so that when I see the answers as a teacher, I see responses. I'm gonna also see the summary of how they were responding, and I'll see their files right here under the summary. I can view them in Google Drive over here, and I can look at them one by one. Same with the videos. So this is just an application really quickly for young children with really limited vocabulary. Again, here, instructions for placing the construction I want them to use. I am eating, my favorite food is, I like, kept it very simple, but that could give you some ideas of how to use that. So back to this guide here, it just gives you a couple of reminders to use lots of visual aids. Try to break it up so it's not saturating for a younger student, and keep it short, simple, give examples. You can even have a voice recording if you needed to at some point for an instruction somewhere, or there's extensions for those too. But it can be really, really helpful, I think, at any age. So I hope you've enjoyed some of these ideas. Oh, I forgot to mention I put this slide in, but this is just a tiny tip. If you guys caught all of our webinar today, you saw the first thing we saw was Screencastify. Well, you have an option to upload those Screencastify through Google Drive. If you ask for a video and your student uses Screencastify too, they will have an automatic file in their Google Drive that says Screencastify, and they could automatically record their video really quick and then look for it in their Google Drive to post it on their form. And so that was just a really quick thing if you got to catch all of that, made it easier. But we really appreciate your time today, and thank you for being with us. And we hope that we've given some helpful tips and ways to use these things for your English classroom.
Yeah, I want to emphasize too that Katrina and I are not tech teachers. We're language teachers. And,
yes.
So if we can do it, you can do it. And
absolutely.
These are definitely tools that we found are really helpful, because I think sometimes we can be saturated with too many options, and that can then make it even more overwhelming. So yeah. I think these are three that'll really give you like more bang for your buck.
Yes, and they're all free, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we're thrilled to have you today. I know that all of those teachers out there that have been with us for the past hour are delighted with you and your tips. Just to wrap this up, thank you very much, Kat and Laura, for being with us today. We also have on screen the webpage for Google Teach from Home, which is full of information and tools to help teachers during this COVID crisis. Please feel free to click on it and dive in. To tune in our next webinars, we are also displaying the link so you can register. And well, thank you very, very much, everyone, for your time today. It was quite a fun and exciting hour, and I think we all leave with a lot of information in our heads. Thank you very, very much. If you have any further questions, you can contact us on mexico@ieducando.com.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.